Why, hello everyone. Welcome to the YouTube channel, and I want to introduce my lovely guest, Larry. Goes under the handle the Carnival Pensioner on social media. So, hey Larry, how you going?
Hey, Joff, it's really good to be here and appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. Well, to give a bit of my introduction to Larry, I've actually followed Larry on social media. But I've got to meet Larry in person in the Carnivore Live Collective. Um, although we did bump into each other, we didn't exchange any words, but I knew who you were, and it was great to see you there. It was lovely, but it was awesome, wasn't it? The
Oh, it was a
Carnivore Live.
fantastic day. It was just quite unforgettable in so many ways. And I was so glad that we went.
Absolutely, yeah. I came from Brisbane, and I thought, what am I going to expect in this environment? Because I've never been around a group of carnivores, and we're not talking about a group, we're talking about hundreds of them too. So it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
very, yeah,
very
yeah,
inspirational.
absolutely, yeah.
Mm.
So bumped into Larry at the Carnivore Live, and yeah, I wanted to just, I guess, have a chat with you because what really catches the attention of others is, you're a pensioner, and you are uh, an elder within the community. How did you come across the carnivore diet?
Oh, well, look, it's this time last year, I'd never even heard the name carnivore diet. So a
Mm,
lot's happened in 12 months. But it all started about a year before that, really, for me. I've always had pretty good health. And I've
mm,
always had sort of a Doris Day attitude to health. Whatever will be, will be. You know, the future's not
mm,
ours to see. And as you get older, you'll get this stuff, and it's just the luck of the draw. So cop it sweet. And but I went to see the doctor, and the doctor sat me down after doing a number of tests and blood work and so on, and said, "Well, you've got your blood pressure is through the roof, and you've got a
mm,
fatty liver. You're insulin resistant, and you're pre-diabetic." And I didn't even know what half of those things meant. But anyway, the doctor said, no problem. What we're going to do is put you on some medication for your blood pressure. So I got my blood pressure pills and I started taking them and
mm,
kept taking my blood pressure at home and noticed they weren't doing any good. So I go back and see the doctor and she
mm,
says, well, look, no problem. We're just going to increase the dose. So she increased the dose and I went back, same thing, didn't make any difference. So I go back a third time and she says to me, all right, what we're going to do is give you two medications and this
mm,
will definitely have some impact, but had no impact at all. And 12 months went by, and all I had done is taken blood pressure tablets, and I was still in exactly the same situation. My weight had only increased, and none of my conditions had really been addressed. And I got to the point where I thought, if I just keep going like this, just doing what my doctor tells me, nothing's going to happen. I've got to, I've got to stand up and take responsibility for my own health. And I
mm,
think that's the turning point in everybody's life. You've got to come to that point where you say, look, the person responsible for my health is ultimately myself. And it's not my doctor's job or my family's job or my wife or my kids or whatever. It's my responsibility. And so I began to read, and I started to read books on diabetes and heart and diet and nutrition and all those sort of things. And I read about 20 books in 3 months. For somebody who's never read a book for years, that was quite an achievement. And then, of
yeah.
course, I started watching YouTube movies because that's an easier thing to do. And it's not long before you encounter people like Dr. Berry and all those carnival guys. And I thought, yeah, this looks really interesting. But my reaction was, this is so extreme. I couldn't possibly do that. You know, you couldn't
Mm,
sustain that. It's just weird. And how would you explain it to anybody? But the more I listened, the more intrigued I got. And I've always been a bit of a jump in where angels fear to tread person. And I thought, I'm going to try this. I'll give it
mm,
a try for 3 months. And if it gets rid of my blood pressure and I lose a bit of weight, that's worth it. So I'll try it for 3 months. So that's how I started. and
as a trial.
yeah, and so what I found, though, was that within just 4 weeks, my blood pressure dropped to normal, and I went off the tablets. That's almost a year ago now, and I'm off all medication, and my blood pressure stayed low, and all of those other conditions were reversed also.
Wow.
So yeah,
Amazing.
an incredible journey.
In the span of well, 1 month, you drop, all. Do you take all tablets out in that
Yeah,
same month,
yeah.
or?
Well, my blood pressure dropped,
Mm,
and I went back to see my doctor. I said my blood pressure's down, and
mm,
then she said, "Oh, okay." I showed her my record. I'd written it all down, and she said, "Oh,
mm,
you can come off the medication then." And I told her that I'd been on this diet, and
mm.
I didn't use the word carnivore, but I described it
Yes.
in detail. And
Yeah.
then she said to me, "Of course, your blood pressure will come down if you lose weight." And I thought, "You never told me that. You told me to take
Mm.
tablets, and the tablets didn't work, and you kept giving me more tablet. You never addressed that question. You never asked me what I eat." And that's when I began
Wow.
to see, the problem with doctors, and the position they're in. And I'm not down on doctors, but yeah, that was my problem. So um,
Wow.
yeah, but I was a bit annoyed at her that she, casually said, of course your blood pressure will come down," but she'd never mentioned that to me.
No, no. And the thing is too, it's very, it almost seems uh scripted, the way they address certain things. It's, oh, you've got a problem.
Yeah,
It's either you've got really two options. It is, either medications or lifestyle change. But quite often um they go down the path of medications, and I've had a very similar experience. But actually, before I dabble onwards, I really want to ask you, if you don't mind, how old are you, Larry?
I'm 68. So
68.
yeah, getting on.
Getting on, and this is what I wish a lot more people, over the age of 65 would have, is your mentality. And I really commend you for taking on board that accountability to say, I've got to do something about my health.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
as I mentioned, I work as a registered nurse, and I work with a lot of people over the age of 65. A lot of them have been caught in this cycle for, you know, years, even decades, where they have been so dependent on the medical system
mm,
that it is very hard to break the cycle. And that encounter that you had, with your GP, when they told you about your blood pressure and your insulin resistance and whatnot, was that the first sort of time you had been told that you've got these issues, or has it been
yeah,
a lead
yeah,
up to?
yeah.
Okay.
I'd never heard of insulin resistance, and I'd never heard of a
Mm.
fatty liver.
Mm.
It was outside of my knowledge, and that's why I
Yeah.
wanted to. I got curious, and I wanted to read and to find out what a fatty liver is and what caused it, and can you get rid of it, and all. They were the
Mm.
questions that were consuming me. Um,
Mm.
the doctor's very good at diagnosing. They can do some tests, and they
Yes.
can give your condition a name.
Mm.
Oh, Joff, you've got diabetes, or you've got this, or you've got that. They can give it a name. And the other thing they've got is a fantastic working knowledge of the drugs available, and they can
Mm.
prescribe a medication. And they've got a waiting room full of 20 people. You get 10 minutes if you're lucky. They are incredibly
Mm.
busy. They are pressured, and
Yes.
they just, it's a whole system that just doesn't work, in my opinion, because you know to tell somebody, okay, you're insulin resistant, well, I want to know what that is, but more importantly, I want to know why. Why am
Yes.
I insulin resistant? What's caused this?
Mm.
And not just treat my symptoms with a tablet, but what did I do to get in this situation? What can I change to, change my
Mm.
my destiny, my outcome here? And those
Absolutely.
questions started to really consume me. And I just say to anybody, if you've got any sort of a condition and the doctor's given it a name, I don't care what name it is, go on a mission.
Yeah,
Read every book you can on that topic and watch every YouTube movie. We are blessed today with an abundance of information, and become an
absolutely.
expert on that condition. And so you're then empowered and you're more confident to be able to move forward and even to go back and talk to your doctor more intelligently. But I think that's the key to everything. People have got to learn and got to get educated, and it's just a responsibility upon us.
Very well said. Very well said. It is the first step really is to take onus and say, I've got to research this or I've got to know more about it. I think the conditioning of our society is, listen to the experts and follow what they say.
Yeah,
And that's always been, I guess, ingrained. It's been over 100 years, I would say. Listen to the
yeah.
experts. Listen to the experts. They've got the answers, but they never encourage you to be the expert. Which just think that's a really good, really good
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Mm,
Because even like when I said to the doctor, she said, lose weight helps. And I did ask her at one stage, well, what's your advice there? How should I go about
mm,
losing weight? And her exact words was this: I don't know. What have you tried before? I hear low carb is meant to be good. And she stopped
mm,
talking like a doctor and she started talking like a neighbor over the fence,
yeah,
because it's
yeah,
outside of her area. She's not trained in nutrition, and she's
no,
only knows what everybody hears or reads in the media about it. And yet
mm,
this baffles me because, whatever condition you have, you can almost guarantee that your diet and what you eat and your lifestyle is at least a contributing factor, if not the whole factor. Not
one of the
always the
largest
whole factor,
factors.
but
Yeah,
it's often a key component of why you are in the situation you're in, and they just don't address that.
no,
And I think that hopefully we'll see some change, and we're slowly beginning to see more doctors identify themselves as a low carb doctor or a lifestyle doctor, or
mm,
hearing these terms about that I'd never heard before. So I'm a little
mm.
bit encouraged, but we've got a long way to go.
Absolutely. Long way to go. And I think, conversations like this uh, is where it starts. I think, I've been in the carnivore space for about 3 years now, and I've seen huge jumps in terms of, let's just say, the popularity of it.
Yeah.
Whether or not people are on board, I think a lot of people are interested in wanting to know more, but there is still that barrier that, oh, this is complete opposite to what I was taught in school, what my parents have told me,
Mm,
and so
mm,
it's like it's gonna take generations, I think, to
mm,
break
mm.
this barrier.
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
since found a new doctor. It means I've got to drive 40 minutes to see her, but I'll gladly do that because
absolutely.
she calls herself a low carb doc and a
Mm,
lifestyle. Prescribing Life is her website. And
amazing.
just a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I interviewed her on my channel, and we talked about all of the issues that carnivores have when they talk to their doctor. And she gave some strategies on questions you could ask and what you could suggest when you're having a problem with your doctor, as so many carnivores seem to do. And I know
Yeah.
many carnivores, they're actually afraid to go to the doctor because they're unequipped to be able to handle the conversation that they want to
Mm,
have.
absolutely. I think that is amazing that you found yourself a doctor, whether they're carnivore or not. But if they've provided you with the I guess you shouldn't say, but ammunition to really go at people when they uh, I guess try to I don't think people try to debate, or doctors don't try to debate, but they do, their defenses go up when you go to the office. I know for a fact that my last doctor experience wasn't a good one. It wasn't when I brought up, oh, this is what I do, I got this So they've given me that notion, and I thought after that, nope, I'm walking out.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but yes, people do need to be well equipped and well versed in actually communicating
yeah,
with their
yeah,
medical professional,
yeah,
because, like you said, they're not trained in nutrition. They're not trained
yeah,
in the lifestyle changes that you need to
yeah,
make. They are trained in, here's a pill, take it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm,
The
mm,
I think Ken Berry said in his book, "Lies My Doctor Told Me," he used the phrase, "the if all you have is a hammer, then everything's a nail." And the
mm.
doctor has a prescription pad, so everything's a nail.
Yeah, everything's enough.
If you go and
Yeah,
see a
that's a good
surgeon,
one.
he's got an operating table, so everything's a surgery solution, or it goes on
Yeah.
and on. But it's very very true. But the first time I went to see my current doctor, I just really wanted some blood tests done and to check up how I'm
Yes.
going on carnivore. And
Yeah.
she sat down first for 20 minutes. She just asked me questions about what do I eat and what sleep do I get, the stress in my life, went
Mm,
through everything.
mm.
How much exercise I get, do I walk, all these questions. No doctor had ever asked me those questions before, ever in my life. It was sit
Wow.
down, what can I do for you? Here's your tablet.
Let's are you I mean, this part here we can edit if we're not able to do this, but are you able to share the name of your doctor for
Oh
those who
yes,
are around
certainly.
the
She's
area?
very happy to do that, and she's on social media herself. Her name is Dr. Avi Charlton,
Oh,
um,
yes.
and she's based. She's now got 3 locations right across Melbourne, so you're never too far
Mm,
from her. And
mm,
you can book to see her online. I think she calls herself the Low Carb Clinic. So
mm,
if somebody was to search to Low Carb Clinic, or you can put a link to it down below, but easy to find. Delightful lady. Um, has become a really good friend and a confidant,
mm.
and she's been very approachable. She gives up her weekends to come and speak at a dinner or to be interviewed on YouTube. She's just a wonderful lady, been a breath of fresh air.
Mm, mm. And we need to appreciate these doctors because
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have
certainly do.
broken out of the norm. Yeah, they've broken
Mm,
out of this
mm,
bubble of you know medicating the people, but
yeah,
work on
yeah.
lifestyle. So yeah.
Yeah, you look
Uh,
back to, Dr. Sean Baker, who wrote the book
mm,
Carnivore Diet, they call him the king of carnivore. When he started to embrace carnivore, he was a very successful surgeon and doctor in the
mm,
States, and he actually lost his license. He was hauled
yes.
before boards and stripped of his license. Now, he eventually got it back, but he had to put in hundreds of thousands of dollars of his own money to fight for his name, to
Mm,
clear his name in the courts, and it was
mm,
cleared. But even today, the media refer to him as the disgraced Dr.
yeah.
Sean Baker. Like that's the
Yes.
price they pay. And
Mm,
I've
mm,
got enormous respect for that guy because of the price he paid and that he's
yes.
holding the
Yes.
course. And but hopefully that day is changing. It goes back to they used to be head people for saying the world was round.
Yeah.
um,
Yes. Yes.
and now these views should be able to be expressed, and I
Mm,
think things are changing, which is good.
yeah. Absolutely. Let's go to what happened when you went carnivore. So the medications we talked about, they completely were ceased after a month. But and the weight loss, you said it all, you lost weight on the carnivore diet. What are some other things that you experienced?
Yeah, well,
Mm,
I did lose weight. I lost
mm.
about 25 kilos.
Wow.
What's that? Nearly 50 pounds in the other system. So I lost a lot of
Yeah.
weight, and I'm
Wow.
thinner. I'd have to go back to the age of 18 to be this weight, and I absolutely love that. Even though I constantly have to buy new clothes.
Mm,
So I did lose weight, but as I say, my blood pressure came right down, which I've mentioned. But
hmm.
then my fatty liver was reversed, and my insulin
Yeah.
resistance was reversed. My insulin level came down. My blood sugar, blood glucose, whatever they call it, stabilized, and it
Mm,
came down. Um, just so many things, Joff.
Mm,
I had inflammation in my joints. I used to say to my wife all the time, "There's no part of me that doesn't hurt." Um,
mm,
and I had no energy. If we went out for a day, a big day out at my age, I needed a day. I'd say tomorrow's a rest day. It's a recovery
yeah,
day.
yeah.
That sort of thing. I had plantar fasciitis in one of my feet, and that had been very debilitating for a couple of years. And I'd had different medications and injections for that. Well, that went away. Um, I had sinus problem. I couldn't sleep at night without using nose sprays so I could breathe.
Mm,
That went away. I could just go on and on. I
wow.
had arthritis in my fingers, and I used to have severe pain in the mornings. I'd be doing this sort of thing, trying to get my fingers going. Well, that went away, and then I noticed I've just got more energy and I feel better, and
Mm,
I'm at the end of the day and I'm still able to do things. And the next day I could go again. This was a total transformation.
wow.
I began to feel. I thought I'm thinking more clearly, and I'm more alert. And I look at the workload that I have now with the YouTube and social media and the things that I'm doing, and I'm thinking I couldn't keep that up even back in my working life.
Mm,
But more, things that used to take me a day now only take me an hour or so, to do.
mm,
Um, and I feel calmer inside. I never really, I've always been a pretty happy-go-lucky person, but just a real sense of calm. The things that would start to get your blood pressure pumping and get you worked up just
yeah.
don't bother me anymore. I just roll with it, and there's a new
Mm,
sense of calm. And one of the things that really excites me about carnivore is I hear people who have been suffering with mental illness of some sort, and they're on
yeah.
medications. I've heard so many stories now of people getting off their mental illness, their antidepressants, and that. And I think this is absolutely huge.
Mm,
Because look
mm,
at the size of that problem, even in my own family. Massive problem.
mm,
And to think that just changing your diet could be a key part of coming out of that. I'm just in awe. I just think,
mm,
what can't this carnivore diet do?
yeah.
And all I know is it just works and it gets better. And the thing that intrigues me most about it is the way that most people start by looking at it, thinking it's the latest diet. I want to lose some weight. I'll give it a go. And all they're thinking about is losing weight. And if they
Mm,
stay on it and they're serious, they do lose weight. But then
mm,
they discover a whole lot of things get better. And that's great in itself. So it starts off in the physical realm, but then it moves to the emotional realm.
mm,
And people are feeling better. They've got more energy. They feel clearer. They've got less stress in their lives. They're sleeping better. Um, and then their whole life is simpler. They've simplified their life and they've simplified relationships and everything. So then they begin to think, what was my life dream that I let go of years ago? I could do things now. And what am I on planet Earth for? What's my purpose as a human being? What's my role here? And it really moves into almost a spiritual dimension,
mm,
of being fulfilled and your connection to something beyond yourself. And
mm, mm,
so I'm excited to see that sort of transition with
mm,
people, and that really excites me. This thing is far more than just about losing weight, although it often
mm.
starts there.
Absolutely. Well, very well said. It definitely is more than weight loss. And what I really like, especially about the message that a lot of us are trying to put out there, is it's never too late. It never is too late.
No,
Larry, you're a perfect example for that. At the age of 68, you changed your diet, or um, you tried it, gave it a trial, and it changed your life for the better. I've heard of teenagers go on the carnivore diet. I've actually spoken to um, a teenager myself who has gone on the carnivore diet
yeah,
and has improved their lives. So
yeah,
you go from some starting at a young age to an elderly. There's
yeah,
never a time where you
yeah,
it is it's for everyone. I think anyway. I think
Yeah,
yeah.
look, I what really excites me, and this is happening more and more often with me, I'm coming across people who watch my YouTube videos or
Mm,
connect in some way, and they'll have a story that they're in their 70s or their 80s.
mm,
Lady the other day said, "I'm 87 and I'm starting," and I just
mm,
think, wow, you know, that is incredible that people
mm.
in their advanced years would start this thing. And, that just inspires me. I think it is never too
Absolutely.
late, and you can do something. And the day, it all begins with a decision that I'm going to do something. I've got so
Mm,
many good friends of mine who I see they're overweight, they're suffering with medical conditions, they've got very little energy, they're struggling to get out of a chair, and they just, I mean, they're nice people and that, but they're playing the victim, poor
mm,
me. And I
mm,
think you'll never get better if you do that.
mm,
You've got to stand up
mm,
and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take
mm.
responsibility. And the ones that do, even if they're 87, they see
Yeah.
significant change. And that's what I get out of bed for in the mornings, to see people
Mm,
start. And
mm.
I I've got this secret desire. I want every carnivore to start a YouTube channel. Um,
Oh,
um,
absolutely. Yeah.
some people say, oh, it's competition. It's not. We need as many voices out there as we can, all saying the same
Mm,
thing, connecting with a different audience, and convincing, just one person at a time. And it's very much a
absolutely.
grassroots thing. It's going to be always grassroots. Don't wait for
Mm,
the
mm.
government or for the Heart Foundation or any of these places. It's grassroots, one person at a time, and it's gaining
Absolutely.
momentum. And it's an
Mm, mm.
exciting time to be alive, I think.
It is. It is definitely. Again, very well said. It is a very exciting time, and the fact that you've got so many different demographics of people that are
Yeah,
now starting. I being of Asian descent and background, I never once would have thought that, uh, you know, uh, an Asian like myself would ever get off rice. So I can only imagine, being other people that would think that way. But there's a huge movement in Asia. I can see
yeah,
that carnivore is rising. Um, in Australia as well. I mean, like as much as people think it's they eat a very balanced diet. I have the opinion that Australia has been a very plant-based society for a while.
yeah,
They just hide it in labels and in the types of foods that they put out in the supermarkets in the middle of the aisles.
yeah,
It's very plant-based.
yeah.
But yeah, a very exciting time. What does your family or your social network of people around you think about the carnivore diet?
Yeah, I think you always get mixed reactions. It becomes less of an
Mm,
issue as you go.
mm.
Um, Really, Joff, nobody cares. uh,
Absolutely, yes,
Nobody cares what you eat. Everybody eats weird things these days. Um,
yes.
and there's a fascination,
Mm,
um, and you get asked questions sometimes, and you can answer those
mm,
quite simply. But I find the less attention you draw to it, the less
mm,
attention other people will pay it. If
mm,
you go out with a group of friends and all you're talking about is carnivore and eating meat and that, you'll get a reaction. But if you
mm,
just quietly sit there and order your meal, and
mm.
if somebody asks you a question, fine, and you've got to be the message, not preach the message.
That's it. That's
And
it.
people will notice. Like
Mm.
in my case, if you're going to lose 25 kilos, people will notice.
Yeah, they don't notice.
You're
Absolutely.
only half the guy you used to be. and you look better and so on. But yeah, it's a real issue for many people, and my
Mm,
heart breaks because so many people encounter um, opposition from not only their doctors but from friends and family. But
mm,
I think there's a way around that, and you just got to stay the course and be true to who you are. You made a decision, you
mm.
made a commitment, and I'm happy to answer questions, but this is who I am. And
Absolutely.
look,
Yeah.
my wife and I go to I don't know what you call it. It's a group of friends,
Mm,
about 15 to 20 of us, and we meet once a
mm,
fortnight in a cafe that's owned by one of the group. and we go on a night when the cafe's closed. We sit and have a meal together. We chat, we share, um, it's a very laid back sort of, it's a faith-based group. And we have that theme in common. But we've been going to this for a long time, and of course it involves a meal, and you don't get
mm,
to order a meal; you're just given the meal, and
mm,
so invariably it's things that I can't eat. Well, I
mm,
still go to that group, and I sit at the table, take my place, and I just sit there with a glass of water.
mm,
And at first, that felt really weird. Like it just
mm.
felt, this is crazy. But after once or after doing that once or twice, nobody even bats an eyelid now. They just
No,
accept it. They don't even notice you're not eating. And what I've found is that instead of being focused on the food, you're focused on the people. And
absolutely.
you've got that much more alertness. You're more fully present. You're more engaged
Mm,
to
mm,
talk to people and connect with people. So, yeah, it's not really an issue, although for some
mm.
people it's a hurdle.
Yes, and I think that was a really well driven point. Is that no one really cares.
Yeah,
I think i- for myself personally, I avoided going out and socializing for a good month or two until I just uh, you know, put my big boy pants on and said I'll address the world when they see because I too lost a fair bit of weight and the photos were on social media, but I didn't want to have this conversation with people telling them I'm doing carnivore. So I let the conversation come to me.
yeah,
That's how I think
yeah,
I got through it because people are naturally going to be intrigued. And I think, for those who are watching who are, you know, quite anxious about having that conversation, when it does happen, in my experience, a lot of people are quite receptive to it. And I think um, they don't want to, they're not out there to belittle you or
yeah,
to point fingers and say, no, no, that's, what you're doing is wrong.
mm,
Um, in fact, they're quite a lot of people in your network are going to be supportive about it.
yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
mm.
The crazy thing is, back when you were eating McDonald's and junk food and rubbish, nobody
Yeah.
batted an eyelid. But the moment you
Oh,
start to do something about your health, everybody thinks you're going to die of cancer.
yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And if you do have a conversation with someone about it, I think there's no need to be militant, and there's no need to be defensive, but
Yeah,
just be aware that you will have those conversations.
yeah,
And
yeah,
all you can say is your experience.
yeah,
If it's working for you, it's working for you. That's
yeah,
all that matters.
yeah. Your story is powerful.
Mm,
If we were sitting here and we're discussing a topic and I tell you my opinion, then you
mm,
can disagree and we can have
yeah.
a heated discussion about that. But if I sit down and say, Joff, this is my experience, this is what happened to me, you
Mm,
can't argue with that. And it's
no,
powerful and it's compelling because it's your story. And that's why I end every one of my videos with keep telling your story. Because
yep, that's it.
your story is really powerful and it's what really connects with people.
Absolutely. And if people want to point at, oh, but the studies show, or but the doctors all say that you're going to clog up your arteries with this saturated fat and the meat that
Yeah.
you're eating. I mean, great, but I'm still here. I'm still on this. I mean, what is
And
that?
in better shape than you've ever been.
And I feel the greatest I've ever been. Exactly. So,
Yeah,
um, I mean, I don't want to delve into the whole science part of things, but there's clearly a disconnect because
yeah,
what your science tells me is that I should have died about 3 years. I should not have had a bowel motion because of the lack of
yeah,
fiber. I should have died because I don't eat vitamin C, and that I don't eat carbohydrates. So there's clearly, to me, in my situation, in my study, or myself, um, it clearly isn't the case. So I think you've got to start looking into this a little
yeah,
bit more.
yeah.
Mm, mm.
Mm.
Larry, what about is there anyone in your, I guess, do you have a network around you of people that eat a carnivore diet, or are you sort of alone in your little bubble?
Oh no, I'm reasonably alone, but I've got
Mm,
I've certainly got friends who are on
mm.
carnivore to some
Okay,
extent or
yeah.
other. I've had people that I've been helping them get started that have
Yes.
stumble, and yeah, I just I learned to take it more
Mm,
less of a big issue now. I'll
mm,
answer people's questions, and oftentimes instead of hammering carnivore, I can say to people, what if you just cut out sugar? What if you
mm,
stopped eating the junk food and stopped drinking Coke and replaced it with mineral water or something? What if you did
mm,
that? That would be huge. Try it. I can say that
mm.
sort of thing. And you're not telling anybody to drastically change. You're just
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
here's something you could do. And I found people are responsive to that.
Yes, yeah. Yep,
And I
I have
think,
too.
even if one person gives up sugar, that's a win.
Mm.
You know,
Huge, huge.
yeah,
Or or they start cooking with butter rather than the
seed oil
oils.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It does make a huge difference. I agree. I think a simple message might be a little bit more accepted by the public. And so yeah, so I commend anyone on social media that even talks about, of course, the
Mm,
carnivore diet,
yeah,
because I think
yeah,
it's powerful. But even
mm,
simple messages like, "Hey, stop eating sugar," that is a
yeah,
huge
yeah,
win for
yeah.
society. Yeah.
I
Mm.
remember, I was a pastor for most of my life, but there's a
Mm.
story in the New Testament where Jesus sends his disciples out in twos on a mission,
Mm.
and they've got a message to tell, and he gives them instructions. But he said, if you go somewhere and they don't listen to you, don't
Mm.
get upset. Simply move on. You go
Mm.
somewhere where they do listen to you, well, stay there. I
Mm.
mean,
Mm.
if people don't want to listen to you, that's fine. Just but
Yes.
don't keep hammering a dead horse. But if
Exactly.
people
Yeah.
are interested, and a lot of people are interested, and
Yes.
they're intrigued and they're fascinated, and
Yes.
I get a lot of questions, and I just try and answer
Yeah.
simply. And
Yes. Absolutely. And that's all you can do. Um, so what? So both me and you and I, and I'm sure many others out there on social media have got a mission. How do you go on about educating or, I guess, promoting the carnivore diet? Because it is, for me personally, I'll speak from my experience. I feel that I have to pay it forward. This is something
mm,
that, like you
mm,
said, it is powerful. This stuff is,
yeah,
this way of life is miraculous to a lot of people. Um, so I feel obliged as a health professional to spread the word, even
yeah,
though it will contradict what I have been taught
yeah.
and what is currently being practiced in medicine. What is, I guess, how do you promote carnivore to the world?
Yeah, when I back when I first started, I lost the weight and I got
Mm,
off the blood pressure tablets. I thought this is good, and my immediate reaction was I should tell my story. So
mm,
I picked up a camera and recorded it, and
mm,
I thought, what am I going to do with this? I've always loved cameras and
yes,
recording and photography, and I had a YouTube channel. I'm a bit of a kayaker and canoeist and canoe camping and that, and I've got
yes,
a channel with all my trips paddling on rivers on it. And I thought, I'll stick it on YouTube. And I thought, silly putting it on there because that's all about canoeing.
yeah,
Um, so I thought, I'll make a new channel.
mm,
So I made a new channel and put it up there. So a brand new channel, no subscribers, no views, unheard of. And I went to bed thinking, I wonder if I'll get 10 views. And
yeah.
I woke up the next morning, had over 1,000 views.
Wow.
I think I had 57 subscribers and a bunch of messages. And I just thought, wow, where did this come from? And it's sort of that initial response thought,
Mm,
I, I might keep going, And
mm,
so
mm,
one video led to another, to another. Now, they didn't all have that same success as the first one.
no.
But over time, it's gone on, and I quite enjoy the process. And although it's a bit of a learning curve, there's so many different aspects to it.
Mm,
And but I love, my real love is people, and I love
mm,
connecting with people. So I thought YouTube's okay, but it's me talking to them. I want them to talk to me.
mm.
So I
Yes.
started the Facebook group, and I think for
Mm,
me, looking back now, the Facebook group is the thing that I'm most excited about, because
mm.
we've got, I don't know, about 460 or something in that group now. But they're very
Wow.
interactive, and they're very encouraging, and never had one put down or a judgment or a, and that creates a sense of community,
Mm,
and people share very, very openly. And so I spend my time making the videos, and then answering comments and connecting with people in every way that I can in the Facebook groups, and then in my own
mm,
community, talking to people who are interested. And sometimes,
mm.
as I said, people do ask.
Yes.
But look, I just think I'm not a doctor, and I can't pretend to be a doctor, and I don't put myself forward as a doctor. But I thought maybe I'm not a doctor, but maybe I could just be a friend on the road,
Mm,
a
mm,
fellow companion. This is what's happened to me. This is what worked for me. This is what didn't work for me. And just be an encourager, and to come alongside people and say we can do this together.
mm,
Very different role to a doctor, so and a role that I'm more comfortable in. So it sort
mm,
of helped me define who I'm talking to. And I
mm,
used to struggle in the early days. What right have I got to make carnivore videos when I have no health training?
mm, mm,
And I thought, there's plenty of other doctors out there talking,
mm,
but I can just talk about my experience and try and be a mentor, a friend, a companion,
mm, mm,
so a listening ear, and that's what I seek to be, and it
mm.
fits my older age image well, I think.
Well, I think you're doing an amazing job, and I think
Thanks, Joel.
if people can connect with you, that is more powerful than any sort of treatment. And especially in this day and age where there's so much isolation due to just the way the world works, really.
Yeah.
Social media can be such a powerful tool if it's
Mm.
used,
Mm.
the way that you do it, Larry, the way that you
Yeah.
connect with people. And I
Yeah.
think uh, let's um, let's acknowledge the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to acknowledge the work that you've done. So, well
Well,
done,
thank you
and
for
thank
that.
you
I
for.
appreciate that.
No,
And
no
likewise.
worries. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, look, the one thing, YouTube is a whole animal of its own.
Yes.
And there's everybody under the sun's got a channel on how to do
Mm,
YouTube better. But look, the thing I've found is that instead of trying to build a channel, build a
mm,
community and
absolutely.
focus
Yeah.
on people. So I spend the majority of my time, I'd spend at least 2 hours every day just getting on Facebook, on my own group, answering
Mm,
comments, going in the other carnivore groups, connecting with people,
yeah.
sharing, and just establishing relationships. It's slow, but
Mm,
it's the best thing to do. And I'd say to anybody who's got a YouTube channel, focus on building a community
mm,
around you, and it's the relationships that matter
absolutely.
more so than how good your video is.
Yeah, absolutely. I've taken that approach quite recently. I've been on YouTube for about a year, and I know that there's plenty of channels out there. Look, my channel itself is minuscule compared to even yours, Larry.
Yeah,
Um, but I'm just so committed to the message, and so
yeah,
committed to
yeah,
um, really, in essence, to help people and
yeah,
just to
yeah,
hopefully save people's lives.
yeah.
That's
And
it.
see, this is the very point. You and I have got the same message,
Mm.
but we're connecting with different audiences,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and somebody that listens to you is going to say, no, I don't want to listen to that old guy. And yet, maybe an older person will say, "Oh, I feel comfortable listening to Larry," or and
Absolutely.
then we've got a couple of guys in our group who are legally blind, and
Yes.
they started channels, and they're talking. Yeah, I think you spoke to Sean last week.
Sean, yeah,
Yeah,
this is
lovely guy.
amazing story. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and those guys, they got their own audience, and
Yes.
this is why a new channel is never threatening. It's another audience, and I just
Absolutely.
think if you start and you're only getting 10 views, well, that's 10 people. They're not views, they're
Mm-hmm.
people, and you've just touched
Yeah,
10
people.
lives, and that's the way I look at it.
Well, that's it. I think that is a really awesome point. They're not views; they are people. I'll take that. That's really, I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
very much. But look, Larry, I think we'll cap it at that. We could honestly, I feel like
yeah,
we could talk on for hours and hours on end.
yeah.
Um, but we should, which we probably should. I might even, if you don't mind, just join your Facebook group as well.
Oh,
I love
certainly.
connecting
Yeah,
with people
yeah,
as well. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
everything with me has the same name. I'm Carnivore Pensioner on Facebook and Instagram, and what's the other one? TikTok, and
Well, TikTok. Oh,
so
right.
they're all on every platform. I'm just Carnivore Pensioner, so easy to find.
Lovely. Well, look, Larry, I will definitely keep in touch with you. I'll be connecting with you and many others too.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm very
appreciate
much.
that.
No, no,
Yeah,
no worries. So you've mentioned your social media to people, where they can find you. Um, Now, what about a final message? Is there anything that you'd like to say to wrap up this video?
yeah. I guess only to say again what I've already said.
Yeah.
um, I One of the people that impacted me greatly on this journey, and there's been many, would be Dr.
Mhm.
Philip Ovadia, and
Yes.
he has a book, Stay Off My Operating Table,
Mm.
and delightful book. He's a heart surgeon, cardiologist, and I heard him on YouTube one day, and he spoke. He had a conversation with another heart guy, and they talked for an hour. But at the
Mm.
end of it, they both got to say, if they only had one message, what would it be? And Philip Ovadia said, without even blinking, he said, my message would be to everybody out there to remind you that the person responsible for your health is you. And he said, you have got to become your own doctor. I thought that's staggering words from a heart surgeon. You've got to
Mm.
become your own doctor. You've got to learn all you can and accept responsibility and stand up and do something. And I
Mm.
just thought that is awe-inspiring. And it's true not just with your health, it's true with everything in life.
Absolutely.
You never, doesn't matter where you are in life. If you're in a job you hate, um,
Mm.
you think you're stuck. And I spent so many of my years believing I was stuck. I have to stay
Mm.
here because there's no alternatives. And we believe that lie. And so
Mm.
we stay in a job we hate, or a situation we hate, or in a relationship we hate. And the day you get out of it, the day you stand up and take a step, another door opens.
Mm.
But you've got to take that step, and it's risky. But with your health, with your relationships, with your career, whatever it is, stand up and say, I'm gonna take a step here. I'm gonna do something and
Mm.
launch out into the deep. Pretty scary,
Mm.
but it's the only way things are going to change.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well done. Look, I want to say thank you again for your time, Larry. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your experiences, and again, just being a friend and just having a chat. So, really
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah. Thanks, Jeff, and I appreciate being here today, and look forward to catching up again.
No worries. Okay, everyone. That's a wrap. I will see you on the next video. Thank you for those who have subscribed to the YouTube channel and have been following both myself and Larry. So, yeah, I'll see you all in the next video to come. See you.